My name's Mary. I started out as an addict, actually pretty much from birth. I grew up with a mother who was an alcoholic and addicted to crack cocaine. As a young child, I was very fearful to be around my mother due to her irresponsibility in life. Um, she would take my brother and sister and I to crack houses. She left us in cars overnight while she was inside doing crack. She married while she got with a man who eventually turned her more into drugs than ever before. My father took off before that. Um, my stepfather was an abusive man. I watched him beat my mom up time and time again. Um, he would rape me, and he was just an awful, awful pawn of the devil, pretty much. As I grew up, I watched the drug scene go on, early 80s, mid 80s, late 80s, early 90s. I watched my parents have parties, get involved in drugs. My first time ever doing any type of drug, I was 9 and I had gotten drunk. Blacked out the first time and blacked out ever since. August of 2001, I had walked in and I found my mom dead of a drug overdose. From that point forward, I was already a mess. I had already dropped out of school, I had one abortion. And when I walked in, I found my mom dead. It was kind of like everything that I did have going for me, which wasn't much, I saw go down in a tube. At that point, I started drinking extremely heavy. Started getting in fights in bars, and smoked crack for my first time after my mom had died. To backtrack a little bit, I started doing Vicodin when I was 12, and did it off and on up until the point my mom died, where I started doing it every single day. I started off taking 2 or 3 at a time, then it turned to 5 to 6 at a time, then it was 10 to 15 at a time, and before I walked in here, I was doing about 40 a day. Throughout this whole time that I was out there, the Lord kept taking me out and putting me into a rehab center or someplace where I got clean long enough to realize this is not what I want. That whole time that I go to a rehab center, I go to NA meetings, I never got in contact with God. So to say the least, I never found out who I was, and I kept going back out. My last time in a rehab center, I started doing rehab centers at 19 for Vicodin and marijuana. I went again at 21 and then again at 23, or actually 25, sorry. I had gotten clean for about 3 years. When I got clean, I got into a relationship. I started going to college full time, started working full time. I made good money and I got a 4.0 in college, and I tried to keep up a facade of a normal life. I wanted to be normal. I didn't want to be a recovering addict. I didn't want to have to work on my past. I didn't want to look at what my mother had done to me. I didn't want to think about my mother being dead. I didn't want to think about my father dying, my stepfather dying. Everybody just kept dying. And I had relapsed. After summer in 2007, and it was really hard for me because I had 3 years clean and I just felt like I was okay. My relationship broke up. We had separated, and I went up north to get high, pretty much. And my uncle had separated from his relationship for the same reason. And driving over the Zilwaukee Bridge on my way up to Midland, which he was already in Midland for the same exact reason I was. I was on my way up to Midland, and I was on the Zilwaukee Bridge, and a certain song came on, and I was going to drive off the bridge. For the first time in my entire life, after everything I had been through, I decided this was it. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done. And I was crying my eyes out, and I was getting ready to make the turn, and my phone rang, and it was my uncle. And I picked up the phone for my uncle, tell him goodbye, because him and we had a close relationship. For about 5 months, we were talking every day on the phone. And I was on the phone with him, and he talked me over the bridge. I told him what I was going to do, and he said, "Mary Catherine, you get up here now, everything's going to be fine, don't worry." I love you. I said, okay, all right, I'll go up to Midland. 2 days later, he called me one night and said, I just want to tell you I love you. Everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about a thing. The next morning, he killed himself. So my grandma had lost 2 kids, and there I was in a downward spiral. I did crack for my first time at 18. At this point, I was doing Vicodin and heroin. And I didn't think I wanted to die until I went over that bridge, and then I thought maybe it was just a fleeting thought. And then when my uncle killed himself, I said, oh no, there's a line there and I don't know where it's at. But I continued to use. Anyways, I ended up turning to crack cocaine about 3 months ago, and I smoked so much I didn't care about anything. I stole from everybody and anything. And I had my uncle chasing me around Detroit saying, I need you to come to the center, I need you to come to the center, I need you to go to this place. It's a year-long program. It's faith-based. I said, absolutely not. I will not go. I would run from him on the streets of Detroit. I would see the van coming and I would run. Well, I called him one day. I was in the crack house, and I just thought enough is enough. And I called him, and he brought me out to Pontiac. I smoked one of my last rocks here in Pontiac, and I came to the center, where I walked into, I'm here for 2 weeks. I was here for 2 weeks and 3 days, and I decided that I wanted to smoke crack again. And I left here with a girl, and we went to the dope house, and we smoked rock after rock, and then I decided, you know what, I want to die. And I had never mainlined heroin in my life. I always just put it into my arm and I didn't want to die. I didn't think, well, I put enough heroin in a needle that would kill me. I found a vein, I pulled back blood, and I shot it. I hit a rock, and I put my head against the wall thinking, okay, this is it. For sure, I'm going to die. It was definitely a lethal dose. And I didn't die, and my wrist swelled up, and it missed the vein somehow. I saw the blood come back, and I missed the vein. And I realized at that point that God has better plans for me. There's things that He needs me to do, and that's why He won't let me die. It has nothing to do with me. As far as I'm concerned, I should be dead. I should be dead. I should have been dead by the lifestyle. I should have been dead from the drugs. I should have been dead when I was in my mother's arms. But He saved me, and He saved me so I could help people. And I believe that 100% fully. And now here I am at the mission. I have a wonderful family. I have wonderful hope. I have love. I struggle sometimes because there's a lot of pain left. But I know that I am a child of God, and I am strong in God. And He is doing miracles in my life right now. I have no money, I have no car, I have no job, but I know that ahead of me, there's a future that is beyond belief. There's something out there. All I have left are the shoes on my feet, and I'm happy with that right now, because God provides, and in the end, that's all I need is God. I went to school to be a chef. I plan on opening up a kitchen. I plan on witnessing, and I plan on helping what the Lord needs me to help with. I plan on being a part of Him with Him today. That's where I've come from. I should be alive. I should be dead, but I'm alive, and I can't believe it. It's a miracle.